Moms, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be telling you about some mistakes I've made and learned and tricks and tips I've learned over the years of braiding hair. But first things first, let's get to know me. My name is Gemma. People call me Jim, and I live in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and I braid hair for a living. I have been braiding hair since the beginning of time. But the only time that I can stamp when I started looking into it as more of a business aspect and really stepping into that was about 8 years ago. But I'm a self-taught braider. My mom used to do hair, and I just loved it. Like, I loved it. I remember going to school and saying, I'm going to be a braider when I grow up, or a hairstylist or whatever. And then tragedy struck, my mom passed on, and I kind of got a little, off course and went into college, got my psychology degree and my bachelor's degree in psychology, and life just happened. I'm a mom, a wife, and that is all a whirlwind. So about 8 years ago, I found out I was pregnant with my son, and I just thought, like, my husband got a good job, and I was just like, but it was only taking care of bills. So I was like, how can I make money for us to have fun money / food, and it be something I can do at home and still be, basically the flexer in my household. Meaning I'm the flexing parent. If anyone knows what that is, that means I'm the one that can get the kids to the doctor's appointment. So I'm a mom entrepreneur. So I started off and I was like, hey, so I was pregnant with my son, and I was just like, I'm going to be a braider, and this is what I'm going to do. I had no goals. I had no thought process of a business mindset. I just jumped out there, threw myself out there. So first thing I did was hopped on Facebook. I put like this special of all special. I believe it was a kids special. I think I was doing kids hair, $25 with beads included, like their natural hair. And then if you want extensions, I think I charged $35. Very cheap. So the first things first tip, if you are deciding to be a braider in this industry, is know your worth. I started off not having a schedule, a consistent schedule at that. I didn't have the mind. As time grew and experience grew, I started to gain the mindset of business, but because it was a hobby turn business, I didn't have a plan. So the first thing I would say is, if you're thinking about joining any type of industry or service, but particularly braiding or hair business, I would definitely consider going and setting standards of just a business plan, having a business mindset, looking at your passion as more of a household name, as a brand. So the first things first, I did have one thing in pocket. I did have a business name, but now that I'm older, I kind of grew out of that name, but I kept it because I've gained a lot of following and people know me by that. But so my Instagram is Slayed by Gemma. My Facebook is Slayed by Gemma. But my booking website and my YouTube, as you guys can see, is Gemma Jamming Gem. Gemma Jamming Gem. Gemma Jamming is because my family always call me Gemma Jam. So I decided to go with that. And then my mom told me my name meant a gem, so I wanted to stay true to that. So that is essentially my brands. It's Slayed by Gemma and Gemma Jamming Gem. And so when you get a business or thinking about doing some type of hair business, you want to make sure you have a brand. Another thing that you want to do is what I talked about in the beginning, is knowing your worth and setting boundaries. I can't stress that enough. I started off, this person said they wanted me to do their hair on, like, people would call me, like, because I branded myself on Facebook and Instagram. So they would literally call or text and say, hey, can you do it this day? And I'd be like, I'm not doing nothing. Why not? Next thing you know, I'm doing hair. So I didn't have any standard. And with that came a lot of just people and clients that weren't staying all the time. I also was trying to learn what my services was in the process, and that was I didn't have set pricing. Over time, I would say 35 and up for this and this and that. But as a person who started with no structure, I would say know your worth, charge what you want to charge. If you feel like your skill is worth this many dollars, go for it. Don't lowball yourself, because you'll get an audience that you may not like. I started off doing specials. By me doing that, I got a lot of people that were just, some was just like, I can't, like, literally. So as things happen, you know how, if anything, if you think about a classroom or any type of rules come from experience. So as I would get the riffraff, I would add a rule. But I want to say, just set your rules right from the beginning. The first thing I would do is have a set price list. Make sure the services that you are providing are the services you are providing. A lot of people say, like, I've had people come to me, you don't do sew-ins? It's like, no, I specialize in braiding in these particular braids, and I have a list of them. And that is where I am now. But don't start off just trying stuff just because you're trying to gain a portfolio, a digital portfolio at that, which is Instagram and all the social media. If you need models, grab your children. Grab your aunt, grab your sister, grab your brother if you do men. Grab someone, get you a mannequin, perfect it, then know your services and set the price. You can give yourself quarterly raises, annually raises, and all of that. But make sure you have a standard price. And I will also say, include a deposit. I did not include a deposit in the beginning, and that was even more of a type of structure that I needed. So create deposits. Have deposits. If you can afford it, get a website. I have an acuity scheduling website. I have an acuity scheduling website where I set, it has all my prices. It has all of my policies. Policies such as, you may want your client to come wash. You may want them to provide the hair. You cancel appointments after a certain amount of time. On your business page, you can set the standard. But if you are just starting out, just go to Canva. Canva has a lot of different templates that you can use and create your price list. You can also create your policy, and you can send that digitally, meaning via text, email, through Facebook, through Instagram. You can put them in your highlights on your social media platforms, where essentially most of your clientele most likely will see you. You can create business cards, flyers. Canva is also a great resource to do that. I didn't necessarily do that. I had my niece, I had my children, and they were my models. So I would do a style, take pictures. Make sure you take pictures in great lighting. But that's essentially how I developed my business. Another thing that I want to touch on as far as worth, scheduling. Make sure you have a business schedule. Don't make it where you're just accessible all the time, where people can just access you whenever they feel like it. You are going to have clients that will reach out to you and say, hey, I need something such done. An event is on Saturday. Can you fit me in on Friday? Don't feel bad and beat yourself up. I used to do that all the time. And now I am to the point where I can say, unfortunately, I'm unable to service you due to, you would have, and next time, hit me in advance. Before, I was doing hair at 9 p.m. Okay? Like, tired. Mind you, I had a mom shift, meaning, which could be all day in some cases, but I still had a little one at the time when I started braiding 8 years ago. When I started braiding 8 years ago, I mean people outside of my family. So I had a little one, and I would literally be like, oh yeah, I can do it, because the money, once you start making money, it fuels you, it motivates you, and you lose sight of all types of structure. So my eating habits was off. I was eating so if I had a client at 9, they would be leaving late. most likely if I took a 9 o'clock appointment, that was something quick, something of 2 hours or something. So I'll be eating dinner at 11, or because I would do back to back to. I didn't give myself any breaks. I did not eat. I did not treat myself well. I just kept taking people, and that will, in return, burn you out. Next thing you know, the thing that you love will be the thing that you still love, but you're like, ugh, I don't feel like you. It becomes the new headache, the new chore. It's not something that you'll think to even fulfill within a certain time. Another thing I would say is make sure you get all the different things that you'll need to create your hair business. When I mean you need to have a mat, a chair, make sure you have all the supplies that you need. When I first started, I started off using my dining room chair, okay? And my client in my living room, okay? And I'm still a home stylist, braider, but I have my own area. I have my, not even area, I have my own room. Before I just had an area in my living space, and it was cool. My clients was cool. I did great work, so people really were like, girl, I don't care if you in a box. I'm coming. Them loyal clients will come. And that's why I say, price yourself at a good price. You'll have loyal clients. Don't do a special. But on to it. On back to supplies. Make sure you have a chair. Make sure you're wearing supportive shoes. And a thing that no one told me is you can't do this forever. In my mind, because I love what I do, I love braiding hair, there was no expiration date for me. I was like, I could do this for the rest of my life. But braiding is very taxing on your body. You will most likely have carpal tunnel, which is what I developed when I had my son, or was pregnant with my son. But not only that, you'll have, if you don't have the right mat and the right supportive shoes, your feet will be hurting, your back will be hurting. I found myself a lot of times, soon as my clients leave, I couldn't even clean up the space. I would ask my family, which is my children, I'll be like, can you clean this up? Or I would get to it later. But the first thing I would do is sit. And when I tell you, once I sat, I wasn't moving at all. My feet was hurting, my back was hurting, my shoulder. It's a lot of repetitive movement. So you want to make sure you take care of your body and you have the right supplies, the right things in order to fulfill things. Now, I could do hair and I'm not in pain. Of course, I'll have my little aches and breaks, but I don't really feel the carpal tunnel in my hands. You can, not really at all, because I don't overly run myself. When I was having client after client after client after client, I remember one time my finger fell asleep while I was literally like doing some Kill Bill, mind over matter. Move your index finger. It was horrible, okay? So you want to make sure you're not running on a hamster wheel trying to fulfill everything, especially if you have a busy life outside of your business. So first thing I talked about was knowing your worth and setting standards. And that all ties into taking care of yourself, making sure you have the right equipment, setting boundaries, having different requirements from your client. But if I had to say the number one things you need if you're trying to have a braiding business: chair, comb, supplies that you use, a good mat, mirror, and shoes. You do not need a lot, and clips. You do not need a lot to establish a braiding business. But as time go on, I will have other videos, so make sure you subscribe to me. Hit that notification bell. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to my story, or are these things that you didn't even think about. I really wanted to touch on things that we don't think about. Also, I said I didn't have an expiration date, and I want to say that now I am 35 years old, and I don't have an expiration date of doing something that I love. But I do know that if I don't start setting business things in place, then that I will become a slave to this, and eventually I'll burn out. My body will not be able to handle this business anymore, and I'll have to eventually let it go. So I've looked into other things. Right now I'm basically a content creator. My clients actually motivated me to have a YouTube channel, which I am so grateful for. And I finally hit 1,000. I want to thank you guys, and that's why I wanted to hop on here, let you know a little bit about myself and some things I've learned along the way. But yeah, make sure you subscribe. And like I said, I've drifted into creative, and I'm going to eventually start to look into doing classes and things like that. But as of right now, I know my timeline, I have a business plan, and I pretty much know where I see myself in the next couple of years. So if you enjoyed this video, like I said, make sure you like, follow me on all my platforms. Slay by Gemma on Instagram and Facebook. Gemma Gem and Gem on here. I'm Gemma Gem and Gem as well on Pinterest. You can see some things I've done. Just some hairstyle ideas. Make sure you go watch my other videos, you know. But anyway, peace and hair grease. Thank you for watching. Bye.